can you tell me what is mean by analog and digital communication means? Analog is nothing but a continuous signal. So anything which we get from the nature will gives you the analog signal only, or the speed signal or any sound signal. Everything is in analog format only. It is a continuous signal. Okay, I will tell you one example, real time example. If you are boiling a milk in your kitchen, consider you are boiling a milk in a kitchen. For every instant of time, you are measuring the boiling temperature, means it is an analog communication. So with a time period. So first, initially, what is the temperature of the milk? After 5 minutes, what is the temperature of the milk? After 10 minutes, what is the temperature of the milk? Likewise, we are getting the in a discrete varying time signals. The information which we get in terms of discrete varying time signal means it is a digital communication. So analog communication means in general, we will tell that continuous electrical signal such as frequency, amplitude, and phase or varies with respect to non-electrical information. So digital communication means the exact analog signal is converted into a time varying discrete signal, and then in the digitized forms, it will convert and we transmit through the devices. So what is the use we go for analog and digital communication means when we convert the analog signal into digital signal, in general, in terms of communication, it will minimize the noises and error added to the actual signal, and it is very easy to perform the techniques using the digital signal, and also any digitalized form using some encoding and decoding techniques. We are changing the format of the signal. It will minimizes the memory of the devices. So the processing a signal is very easier when compared to analog. It is very easy in digital communication. So what is meant by modulation? So next thing, important thing here in the transmitter section, what is going on is it is called as modulation. So the modulation is a process which happens in the transmitter section before transmitting a signal in the channel. Can you tell me what is mean by modulation? I tell you with a real-time example. For example, if you are having a paper, take a paper and write some information in it, and if you throw the paper, means it will go up to certain distance. Okay, this is a non-formal information. I'm just telling you for your understanding purpose. So in order to make that paper go for long distance, what we can do, we can fold the paper with the stone and we can transmit the paper, means it will go for a long distance than we throw the normal paper. Why we are saying this means modulation is like that only. Modulation is a technique which can make your information to transmit for a very long distance. That's the process in general. In generally, why we go for modulation means, if I am speaking means the signal which generated the source by me, it cannot transmit through thousands and thousands of miles far away. When my friend is in America or Australia, my voice signal cannot reach the particular distance. So what I have to do means I have to increase the frequency of my signal, because normally the person's human voice is a very low frequency signal. This low frequency signal which we transmit through the air medium, what will happen means due to the environmental conditions and the noises and due to the climatic conditions, the noises get distorted. So the receiver cannot hear the noise in clearly way. So what we have to make means we need to convert the low frequency signal into a high frequency signal, but we should save the message also. So what is meant by modulation means we are changing some parameter of the carrier signal in accordance with the message signal. So the actual message signal which is generated by the source is modulated, is combined with the carrier signal. What is mean by carrier signal? The carrier signal is generally a high frequency signal, but it does not contain any information. The message signal only contains information. Like the stone, the carrier signal acts as a booster so that it make the message signal to transmit for a very long distance. So we are going to change the parameter of the carrier signal with respect to the message signal. So that is called as modulation process. So using this modulation process, the transmitter can transmit the signals for a very long distance. So why we go, other than this, what are the advantages of modulation means? The need for modulation, it reduces the height of the antenna. Consider, in this also I will tell one real time example. 20 years back in our televisions, in our homes and all, if we are watching TV means there is one antenna in our house. Okay, we will keep it on the upstairs. What we will do means we need to adjust the antenna. The size of the antenna should be very high. So if we adjust the antenna means we will get a clear picture in our TV. So see, the antenna size which we kept for TV is very large. Why? Because the signal we are using in the TV is very low. So nowadays we are using the signals which we are going to transmit through mobile is a very high frequency signal. Our mobile phone will also have a antenna, but it is very small in size. Why? Because we are processing a very high frequency signal. So the height of the antenna and the frequency are inversely proportional to each other. If we want to minimize the height of the antenna, then we need to use a very high frequency signal. So the mobile which we are using for communication, we are using a very high frequency signal in terms of microwave. Okay, so megahertz range we are using. So that what will happen means the height of the antenna is very minimum. So a very minimum height antenna is used in our mobile phones. Okay, so in those days, TV signals are very low frequency signal compared to our mobile signals. So that we are using a very high antenna. Okay, very high antenna means the height of the antenna is very high. So this is explained. So the modulation process, by the modulation process, we are increasing the frequency of the signal so that the height of the antenna is very minimum. If the signal, here I explained using one example. Consider if the signal is 5 kilohertz, it is to be transmitted without the modulation means the size of the antenna is 15 kilometer only we will get. Okay, this is the formula we will use for our wavelength. Okay, if this signal is modulated with 10 megahertz signal, if once you perform modulation, if you send only the message signal, then the antenna's height should be in 15 kilometer. If we increases the carrier signal frequency, if we increases the frequency of our signal means, then the antenna height is automatically minimized. Okay, only 7.5 meter is enough to transmit the signal. So the modulation technique increases the frequency of the message signal by the modulation process. That's why the height of the antenna is very minimized. And also, if the very high frequency signal, if we perform modulation and we are changing the parameter of the carrier with respect to the message signal, this will increases the frequency of the signal so that the mixing of the signals are avoided. If a very low frequency signal is transmitted as it is, then what will happen? The message signal will mix with the other signals in the environment. So using the modulation techniques, it also minimizes the mixing of the signal and the range of communication. It will increases the range of communication. Since we are using high frequency signals after modulation, we can transmit it for long distance with minimum interference and noise. And this modulation will also perform multiplexing. Can you tell what is mean by multiplexing? We are going to transmit a multiple signals through a same channel. And in the receiver section, we will separate the signals. So we cannot use each and every signal. We cannot give one particular channel. Okay, that is very difficult. In wired communication only, between a sender and the receiver, there will occur a separate channel. So in the wireless communication, we cannot provide a separate channel for each signal transmission. So multiplexing means multiple signals are combined and transmitted through the channel. And in the receiver section, we will separate the signals. So this multiplexing operation is very helpful, can be made very easily using the modulation process. If we perform modulation, then the multiplexing is very easy. And we can adjust the bandwidth. Okay, the bandwidth is adjusted. So if we are transmitting only the low frequency message signal, then we cannot adjust the bandwidth. Okay, so then in the receiver section also we can receive the signal with minimum interference and noise once you do the modulation process. So in this entire syllabus, we are going to see about what are the different modulation techniques so that we can transmit the signals with minimum interference and noise. Why? Because in the entire communication system, the interference and noise will occur highly in the channel. So how efficiently we convert the signal into some other format so that we can minimize the error. This tells you how efficient the communication system is. So thank you, students. From the next class, we will saw the what is meant by AM modulation and the upcoming topics. Thank you.